Hello, patrons. It's Monday, April 25th, and this is your Cup of Jones. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to my desk. We have lots of questions to answer. We have lots of work to do, so that's why we're trying to stay focused back at the desk this week. This might look like my original mug, but this is actually my wife's mug, and we got this at the Ren Fair, and we were there this past week, and she got this cool little top for her mug, so I thought I would show off the cool mug of my wife, or the cool cup of my wife, Amanda Troop, that I will use this week. Thank you, honey. I'm going to be gone from May 6th to May 14th, and I thought I should tell you. There will be a Cup of Jones that week. I will not be doing Toy Box Tuesday or Red Dead Revisited or our podcast. I will be gone that week. If you know me, I'm going to Disney World, so hopefully you're cool with that. Hopefully you're cool with me going to Disney World for a week, but I will be back. We'll go to Florida for a week. I'm not going to Disney World, unfortunately, for a week. I would love to do that, but going to Florida, I'll be back. Lots of questions each week. A lot of people were talking about the number, the volume of questions that get asked each week. Hopefully that becomes smaller. I think 30 minutes was the max. People were saying they're like, 20-minute episode is okay. 30 minutes, I don't know, that might be too long. But hopefully there'll be less questions. There's like a metric ton of questions this week. I'm just preparing you. I also want to let people know, if I don't answer your question, it's either because A, I already answered it in a previous episode, B, I don't really have a good answer. If I look at something and I'm like, there's no way that I can answer that question, then unfortunately I can't. C, I addressed it in another part of the show, or D, I ran out of time and I might get to it in the following episode. So speaking of, let's get to feedback. Monica thinks that it'd be interesting to see some of the Easy Allies do a face-off. For instance, on YouTube, I've seen gamers do races. We've dabbled in friendly competition a little bit. We have, we do bets, and we started Jolly Cooperation and stuff like that. So maybe we could start to do more segments like that. That sounds like a Tuesday group stream to have it be more competitive. Maybe we, depending on what game that we're playing, we could section off a part of our Tuesday night stream to be more competitive. So races, yeah, we will race against each other. Good idea. Pewee wants to know if there's any chance of more Don's Design Lab. We can't call it Don's Design Lab for obvious reasons, but Don is working on shows similar to maybe stuff he's done in the past. He's also working on some new stuff. If you know Don, he's always got an ace up his sleeve. So I'll leave it up to Don to let you know if and when he's going to start production on those, and when. Some of those he already has, but when he's going to be able to get those shows to you, and if that's something that we're going to spend more time working on in the future. So again, it's up to Don, so I'll let Don tell you. Robert thinks that Easy Allies needs more puppets, and or maybe an Easy A puppet show, don't you think? I do think. I'm very passionate about puppets. I am puppet passionate. Puppets are also very expensive to have good puppets. And if I was going to do a puppet show, I would want to have good puppets. It's a long story, but I've explored puppet. I mean, you guys know we've done puppet stuff before, but I have explored other puppet options in the past at that other place I was at that were either too expensive or it didn't pan out, or companies ended up doing anyway. So puppets are fun. Puppets are something I would like to do. Thank you for bringing up puppets. Oscar was wondering if the Allies would consider including multiple perspectives in reviews. That's sticky, because you really want to have the review be a cherished thing for a brand, for an outlet like us. We really want to put a focus on that as our collective agreed editorial opinion, like that's obviously not coming from us, because that one was written by Michael Damiani or Ben Warren, Mike Huber, Bloodworth, or myself, or Brad. But at the same time, we want to add our editorial opinions to it, and so that's what the podcast is for. So that's what Frame Trap is for, our second podcast now, which I was on, which was really fun. That's what editorial videos are for, which we're starting to do more of. We're doing one on Pokemon Red, we're doing one on Hearthstone. So we will add more of our personality stuff. Obviously on streams, we'll sound off against stuff, but we really want to keep the review for reasons of purity, for reasons of integrity, for reasons of, popularity, that we want, not to tarnish our opinions and have them scattered all over the place, but really have that be our focused opinion that represents how we feel about that game on embargo, on launch day, when everybody else is spouting their opinions about the game. So want it to be more focused. The less we do that, the less focused it is. So there's the answer. Usman wants to know if there will be a forum on the new website we're working on. I didn't want to do one right away, but a lot of people have been asking for it, so I think it makes sense. I think you guys really need a centralized place that you can go and organize all of your thoughts and all of your opinions. And we love our community, and we want our community to be able to talk to each other. We want our community to grow. You guys have let us know so many reasons why you would want something like that, so I think we should do something like that, so I'm going to work on it. Arcadius thinks that all allies should have an official EZA email account, so we can write to them some more personal stuff, letters, whatever. We do. We actually do starting. I can't confirm for everybody because some people are lazy and they haven't actually filled everything out, but I can speak for myself that I have an email address. If you know my email address from Game Trailers, you can probably guess what my email address is now. If you know my first name, that's my email address. So if you want to send me an email at Easy Allies, you can. All of the other guys picked different things. Some have their first name, some have their first initial and last name. I'm going to leave it up to them to decide if they want you to have their email address. But you're patrons. I trust you guys. So short answer is we do. You can contact all of the people, all of the allies directly and try to get their email address. And good luck to you, sir. David Flynn is curious if we're starting to get any support from the games industry. We've had a tremendous amount of support from the games industry because PR people are awesome, and they were informed and they were ready and they understood basically what happened, and they're really excited to be working with us more and more. The only issue is that we've had like 4 to 5 different addresses in the last like 4 to 5 years, and so sometimes they can get confused. Sometimes packages can go to the really wrong places, but other than that, everything's great. Michael Kozachenko, mega sponsor, is curious if we've thought about using the YouTube space, which we're close to, and he said specifically for E3, and I hadn't thought about that, Michael. Thank you for bringing that up. Dylan Wigan wants to know if we're going to get an MCN for a YouTube or a multi-channel network. That sounds complex and potentially time-consuming. There are advantages to that, but it doesn't sound like something that's going to benefit us in the short term, something we might consider in the long term, but thank you again for putting that thought in my head. Colin Cooper wonders, now that Easy Allies has a more relaxed and structureless hierarchy, do you worry about small power struggles in the group? I don't worry about power struggles so much because everyone has a lot of power in the Easy Allies. Everybody has a lot of freedom in what they can do with their shows, who they want to work with, what time they want to stream, what time they want their shows to go up, who they want to work on them, how much of the budget they want to take for things that they want to work on. Everything is kind of fluid, and that's intentional because, especially in the early stages, I want everybody to have access to everything that they need and to be communicative about that and who they need to work with. So, don't know what a power struggle would necessarily accomplish, so not really worried about that. I do get concerned about making everybody happy, making sure that everybody enjoys working for Allies and is creatively being inspired and getting the stuff done that they want to get done. So that is a concern. I don't know about a worry. I don't know if I'd upgrade that to a worry, but that is definitely a focus for me. But power struggles? Nay. Axel wants us to please confirm that Mr. Buttons will be joining EZA. First of all, he's Buttons. Mr. Buttons is his father. Second of all, I can't speak for Buttons, much like the other allies. I wouldn't call Buttons an ally. Buttons, for some reason, you gotta wonder how he can afford it. Buttons actually has a pretty intense legal counsel. And so, when we, left, other parties to, go onto the venture that we're at right now, Buttons was not something that we could easily transition. So, again, I'm going to have to not only leave this to Buttons, but leave this to Buttons' lawyers to kind of answer that question. So, you'd have to ask them. T-Bear is curious, where are you getting all those cups, mugs, chalices, drinking receptacles? All over the place. I have a couple mugs. My wife has a lot of mugs. I'll say that again. My wife has a lot of mugs. Some silly ones. Fair warning, these mugs might get silly, but I have a couple of the cool mugs. I might buy some mugs for the occasion. You might see some Cup of Jones related merchandise popping up in the store sometime soon. Those things might happen. Kyle wants to know if there are other games that you would consider playing that could end up being future Brandon's Plays videos. Not so much. You just put the seed of more episodes of that show that we could do in my head, but Pokemon is taking up a lot of my time. I would definitely like to try other types of shows just to see if they would work for our new Easy Allies audience before I would just kind of hammer out the same kind of thing over and over. But I'll think about it. Dale inquires, in what ways do you see EZA, the Patreon company, etc., influencing the Allies in the coming months? In what ways do you see us, the viewers, influencing you? Good question. I don't mean to repeat myself, but I don't think I've specifically focused on a question like that. I think one of the biggest influences so far, one of the biggest changes, one of the things that feels the most different is the fact that we're really focusing on things that we want to focus on. We're really expressing our passions through franchises and releases and news headlines that we are passionate about. And it's exciting to be able to do that. It's exciting to find out that our audience is passionate about those things as well. And it's exciting to know that we can run a business doing that. So far, so good. So that's the biggest change is a little less stress on kind of hovering over and, feeding on the news of the day and focusing more on things that loves that we have that are going to be the same today, tomorrow, next week, next month. So we'll see how long we can keep that up. That's probably the biggest difference. Heath asks, did you get sponsorship deals outside of Patreon? Would that contribute toward the same goals you've listed here? We've had some sponsorship requests outside of the main sponsors that you've seen that we've mentioned on podcasts, that we've mentioned in other videos, and we've mentioned on streams and stuff like that. We've had other requests. We haven't necessarily explored a lot of those options yet. Apologies to people watching this that have reached out to us that we haven't gotten back to. Again, new email address, email me there. But we will explore that. That won't necessarily be a part of Patreon. That is a GUI subject. That is amorphous, kind of like the difference between getting sponsorships one way or sponsorships versus the other. I think the main difference is with Patreon, it's a very specific, it's growing to be a very specific guideline of how we handle our shows and how we talk about that. Whereas sponsorships, just generally outside of Patreon, wouldn't necessarily be bound by the same rules. Again, haven't explored that, and that's something that I don't know 120% how transparent I'm going to be about, because never started deals like that before. That's very exciting and scary, but those I could see those easily not being a part of Patreon, if that answers your question. Michael points out that Cup of Jones is stated to release on Mondays, but releases typically Tuesday on the East Coast. Have you considered shooting on Sunday instead to release earlier on Monday, or change the expected date to Tuesday? I will try to get this done earlier on Monday. I try to get this done earlier on Monday every week. Hopefully this goes up on Monday, but I'm saying this into a camera now, not editing and posting it on YouTube, so I can't confirm that. I have to do it on Mondays because, or maybe I can say the expected date is Tuesday. I want it to be the beginning of the week, basically. So I will always shoot it on Monday. So even though I say into the camera, hi, it's Monday, it is Monday. It's Monday for me, and it's basically me talking to the rest of the team and figuring out what we're streaming and figuring out what they want me to tell you about and what we need to focus on and what the big news is. So Monday is always kind of the vibe. It's the beginning of the week. Again, I'll try to get it up as early as I possibly can, but I don't want to shoot it on Sundays because it's Sunday, and I will most likely be doing something else on Sunday. That'll probably be the day where I'm not doing Easy Ally stuff, although those days don't come around often. Ben Sharples wants to know, have you guys considered bringing on guests to the Easy Allies podcast, just like Kinda Funny does? Probably not. If we bring on guests, we'll probably make that another show. Bobby Vaughn asks if we would ever consider doing a once-a-month Fiasco group with rotating members. For those of you that don't know what Fiasco is, it is a tabletop role-playing game where you can change the rules and change the scenarios very quickly. I have yet to play it. Ian is a big sponsor of it. That is a Ian Hink, Ben Moore question, because Ian, I think, ran most of those Fiasco sessions, and Ben, I think they did that when Ben was gone, and Ben, that's Ben's show, Tabletop Escapades, so you'd have to ask Ben. Daniel would like to know, now that you're making that effort to get in front of the camera more, how does it feel? Feels good. I've gotten in front of the camera starting about 3 or 4 years ago. Trailer Academy was a big, for those of you that watched that back in the GT days, that was a big step as far as like staring into the camera and being like, this is weird. And I mean, and it is kind of weird. Like, I definitely feel connected to you guys, but at the same time, I'm alone in my garage right now talking to myself in front of a camera. If like people could look from outside, they'd be like, what's that guy doing in there? But I think the weird thing is now with the mics and the lights and setting everything up myself, that's weird. Because the thing that you want to do is look up at the monitor in the corner, but you really should look into the camera. And like, I try to erase all the thoughts from my head of like, is the lighting okay? Is the sound okay? Have I peaked yet? Well, how loud can I get when I'm talking to it? So that's kind of weird. But the talking to the camera part, I'm pretty much used to that. One of the Finnish Allies questions this week was, could you give us the opportunity to vote on future full playthrough games? Full playthroughs are emotional. Full playthroughs are personal. So I can't speak for the rest of the team when I say, they can, let a fan say what you're going to full play through. You don't want to full play through a game like World of Warcraft or EVE Online. There's some games you can't full play through, so it's tough taking requests. I probably won't because I have a lot of passion projects that I want to do, but maybe some other people on the team might. But for me, for the foreseeable future, probably for 2016, if I do a full playthrough after Red Dead or something else, it'll be something I pick and not necessarily something that I leave up to patrons. Apologies. Diego ponders, will some cups reappear later, or will you keep buying new ones until the end of time? I'm going to keep dropping in new mugs if I can. We'll see. We'll see if I can do it. Mike Hook wants to know, are you the boss of Easy Allies? I'm the editor-in-chief of Easy Allies. That is just a necessity out of just working in the industry. Just kind of establishes me as the person to contact at Easy Allies for everything you would need an editor-in-chief for. We have a couple of the people that have different names. Most everybody else is producers. We don't really think of having like a hierarchy as far as like who's in control. I'm in control. I'm in charge of managing the money. So I communicate to the rest of the team what's going on with our money. If that makes me the boss, then you can call me the boss if you want to. Just make sure you call Tony Danza the boss too. But I don't consider myself the boss. I don't want the team to consider myself the boss. We're Easy Allies. I want to stay as equal as possible. I am the editor-in-chief, so if that's a boss to you, then sure. The Hashtagonist writes, will EZA be participating in cross-outlet charity initiatives such as Take This Streamathons and Operation Supply Drop? Operation Supply Drop, when we did it, was one of the most gratifying things I have ever done in games journalism. I loved the feeling of doing that. I've loved working with other teams. I loved working with Get Well Gamer when we donated our library. Hashtagonist, when that stuff comes along, please bother me and let me know that that's happening. Please bug me about that because I love doing that stuff. And Easy Allies should totally do that. We are an easy alliance. Why not? Andrew asks, how and who gets to choose who gets full-time? A lot of that's based on skills. A lot of that's based on who's interested. Some people are interested in being full-time. Some people aren't. And it's always just suggested by me. That person talks to me. I suggest it to the group. The group votes on it. If they're cool with that, then that person's full-time. Daniel inquires, when retrospectives return, will you be tying up any loose ends like Diablo, or starting a new series you haven't covered before? Will you do retrospectives on series you've done before like Resident Evil, since they have a lot of new entries since the initial retrospective? No, we won't be continuing anything we previously did because that's another show, it's another place, it's another time. I leave that behind. I really like the opportunity to have a fresh start and start new shows and start from a fresh perspective. Will we go back and do retros we haven't done before? Maybe. Not this year, but maybe. Finally, last question, promise. Joseph LaRussa wants to know, how much of your connections and former partnerships from your time at GT helped you in starting and building up EZA? They are everything. They have helped us with everything. Remember that. Never burn a bridge unless you absolutely have to, and even then, really, really think about burning that bridge, because this industry is all about connections. If you care to be in this industry, so don't go out there and make contacts, make friends, make long-lasting business and personal relationships, and be nice to people, be helpful to people, because one day you'll need their help, and then they help you, and then everybody wins. Tomorrow, or today, depending on when you are watching this, we are doing a giant Tuesday day to night group stream. We are 1 month old. On 4/21/2016, we had our 1 month anniversary. We're going to celebrate it by streaming more. We were going to stream from 2 to 8, and then we said, no, we're going to stream from 12 to 8, and then I was like, wait, I'm doing Toybox Tuesday first. So here's how it's going to shake down. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. or Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, I will be streaming Toybox Tuesday at 12 p.m. Pacific. Ben Moore and Mike Huber are joining me for Hearthstone, Whisper of the Old Gods, the expansion that's launching, and then at 2 p.m. until 8 p.m. 8 p.m. is when we usually end on Tuesdays. We'll be group streaming with all sorts of crazy games. So go on to suggest stuff. And as always, you can pick and participate, and you can join to the stream. So we hope you will all tune in for our awesome group stream. Thank you so much again for helping us get to a month. And we'll see where we go from here. We have a Q&A this Saturday at 12 p.m. Pacific. We're going to be posting really specific details for our patrons on Friday. We're going to put up questions there, and then we will answer those questions in our live Q&A that will start at 12 p.m. Pacific. Again, details coming to Patreon this Friday. I was on Frame Trap. I'm in the next episode of Frame Trap. It was a lot of fun. I'm really excited about Frame Trap. I'm really looking forward to getting Ben his equipment. He has a couple more things he needs to figure out. It was tricky getting equipment because I didn't want to repeat any equipment that we didn't need. I didn't want to double down on something that was like, well, that's wasted because there's only one thing we can ever do with that. I wanted to be flexible with the equipment we got. We figured that out, how to do that between our podcasts and between Huber's show and between Ian's show and all the other shows that we want to do with the stuff that Don's shooting. So we have all the equipment figured out. Those shows are going to keep getting better, and I can't wait to be on Frame Trap again. Damiani has renamed his show. He wants to tell you in a video that he's going to post on Thursday, but a lot of fun details are coming in about that show, so expect the next update later this week. So lots of questions to go through, little tiny details about Easy Allies this week, little tiny updates. And I want to talk about something for the editorial today that I've talked about before, something that's very near and dear to my heart. I'm sorry if I'm a bit of a broken record on this, but I get tons of requests. And like we've discussed before, I have, slight pangs of guilt, when there's shows that we used to do before that we didn't necessarily promise that we were going to be doing with Easy Allies, but nonetheless we're not doing anymore, that I feel bad about. And chief among those, obviously, is scoring trailers. I first and foremost want to give credit to Mr. Ryan Stevens, who first had the idea to score trailers. I got an email from him or a text, or he came into my office and he said, why don't you do video where you wrangle up all the trailers of every week and you look at them and you talk about the best ones and we pick the best ones? And I was like, oh, we should score them. I think that was my idea, but he was the idea like, why aren't we doing a trailer show? We are game trailers. And that was a dumb idea. I smacked myself in the head so hard I could hear it back in 2002 when I should have started doing that show. So we started doing that. We called it Let's All Go to the Trailers. And then we started doing a show called Trailer Score. And people keep sending me requests on social media all the time, which they should, which is amazing because that's where I find out about a lot of this stuff, thanks to social media, Facebook and Twitter and whatnot. I still love trailers so much. I still want to do all sorts of stuff with trailers, but I'm not going to. And I wanted to bring up why. Because the more I think about it, the more I'm reminded of working at a website called Game Trailers, working at a place that for all of its weird offshoots and weird spinoffs and everything was started because we wanted to get free content to people that should be free. Game Trailers should be free. And so we started wrangling trailers and we started spinning them out. And the trailer shows that we did were not only, made sense and were easy to produce because we were at a place called Game Trailers, but there was a team, and there was an idea. There was a team that ended basically with Matt Blair, that had all sorts of people going through it over the years, that would gather all of the trailers and put them up on the site every day. And then those trailers would just kind of filter through all of the other stuff that we were doing. And so there's a folder that I could go check every day that had all of the trailers. And this is ultimately the thing that stops me when I'm like, oh, I can't do a one-off show because then I'm just scoring that one thing. And I can't do a group show because I'd want to explore more trailers. And long story short, guys and gals, I want to focus on trailers. I care so much about trailers that I can't focus on them like I used to because I'm not in a business where trailers are just being thrown at me every day, where I can't, just look and open up a folder and there's just, the fresh crop, like somebody went and just plucked them from trees and put them in a basket and I get to go and just gobble up all these trailers every day. And sadly, that's not the business that we're in anymore. Sadly, that's not the business that we're working toward. Maybe I can figure something out with how to cover trailers in the future. I don't even know how we would handle something like a best trailer, even if we were to do Game of the Year awards, because it's something, it's like my Disney Infinity addiction, you guys. It's like the shows that we did agree to commit to. It's like anything that's on that Patreon page. When I want to start something, I really want to focus on it. I really want to give it absolutely all of my attention. And so trailers to me feels gross as something just to kind of half-ass, just to kind of do and be like, oh yeah, I'll just score that one trailer and then I, get another one of those trailer score episodes or whatever we would call it for weeks, and I don't like that. I want what we're doing to be as consistent as we can make it. And, much like as we've talked about before with GT Countdown and editorials and a lot of stuff that was produced in an environment where we could all get together very quickly. We used to be in the business of trailers and we are not anymore. And as days go on, it's tough for me to accept that that is not my business anymore. I certainly have opinions about trailers. I certainly will never stop thinking about trailers. I certainly never want you to not recommend trailers. But if the thought has been going through the back of your mind where you're like, why the hell has Brandon Jones not been talking about trailers? It's because things change, people change. Again, I love them, but it's not my business anymore. My business is something else. So if you're if you're a friend of mine and we can sit down and we can talk about trailers. If a trailer, if Kyle talks about a new game announcement, we're going to talk about trailers on that show. I will offer opinions. If you ask me a question in the comments about a particular trailer, maybe I'll drop an opinion. If you follow me on Twitter, maybe I'll talk about trailers. But a show about trailers is not something you should expect from Easy Allies in the near future, because it would be much more difficult, like other things, doing it at EZA than doing it at GT. So there is my rant about trailers. That is the Cup of Jones for Monday, April 25th. We're going into May. We are getting close to E3. There's all sorts of fun, exciting things that are coming up. There's even more events throughout the summer. There's Comic-Con, there's PAX Prime. There's all sorts of reasons to be excited about fun things with EZA. We're getting to the end of month 2, so for all of you guys that are still patrons, for all of you guys that are still devoted to sponsoring us, and that hopefully will be around when May 1st comes, thank you guys so much. Thank you for your support, and we'll see you next Monday. It's coffee, by the way, for anybody who's curious.